International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor says the possible arrest of Russian President Vladimir Putin was not discussed during a meeting of BRICS ministers. BRICS Foreign Affairs and International Relations ministers are currently meeting in Cape Town over 2 days to discuss regional and global issues. The meeting takes place in the run-up to the BRICS summit that is scheduled to be held in South Africa in August. The International Criminal Court has issued a warrant of arrest against Putin for the invasion of Ukraine. As a signatory to the Rome Statute, South Africa has an obligation to act on that warrant of arrest. We're now joined by Tembisa Fakude, Senior Research Fellow at Africa-Asia Dialogues. He joins us on Zoom from Istanbul. Great to have you with us. As always, Tembisa, so seemingly we can't have a unified stance on the war in Ukraine from BRICS members. Brazil is critical, but of course Russia is part of that grouping. But can you believe that they didn't even discuss the possibility of the implications of Putin landing here and South Africa's obligation to arrest him?
No, I don't believe that. I think they did discuss it. Minister Pandor decided to pass that buck or responsibility to the presidency, that President Rome was going to make a pronouncement in that regard. But I definitely believe that they did discuss it. Is meant to deal with logistics and ensuring that the summit goes well or goes as planned. So I don't really believe that they will ignore such an important point. And part of the responsibility or discussions in the agenda of this meeting was indeed, the inclusion of what will happen if Vladimir Putin visits his country. So I don't believe the reports that suggest that nothing was discussed. I think something was discussed, but certainly Minister Pandor is not at liberty to tell us precisely what was discussed.
Do you think the meeting could be moved? There's some talk of the meeting being moved, which at least takes South Africa out of this very difficult situation.
Well, when they confirmed the date of the 22nd to the 24th of August in Johannesburg, it was mainly to emphasize the point that will be taking place in South Africa. We have just over 2 months before this meeting is taking place. So I think it's already confirmed. And the fact that we now know, we didn't know before, now we know it precisely when the heads of state are going to be meeting. So I think it's all systems go, is a done deal. They just have to now deal with certain technical issues. And the elephant in the room, at least for South Africans, is how do they deal with Vladimir Putin?
If we don't arrest him, South Africa has said that its stance is neutral. The president is saying in the last few days that envoys are going out to the West to clarify our stance. At the same time, we want to go on a mission with other African leaders to Russia and to Ukraine. But if we don't arrest Vladimir Putin, surely that stance or that claim of neutrality is completely out the window.
Yeah, at the moment, they're putting forward the blanket immunity for heads of state when visiting countries, that they could be protected from warrant of arrest. And that's the argument that's been put forward. But again, the horse has bolted in this regard. The discussion is much, much more broader. The world expects answers. The laymen on the street know about this discussion. And the technical justifications that we've been given, I think it's just too late in the day for South Africa to do anything, even if it could be a legal intervention that could allow Vladimir Putin to come to this country. I think many people will be disappointed, and we are likely, again, to be on the wrong side of global public opinion in this regard.
I know you're not a lawyer, but have you ever heard of diplomatic immunity being used to override those laws that are obviously codified because we are a signatory to the Rome Statute?
Yes, there has been instances that was used. Someone was arguing and trying to explain to me earlier on why it was impossible for Omar Hassan al-Bashir to be shielded when he visited this country. But yes, indeed, there are instances. But in this regard, the discussion is just gone out of our control. The world expects something. The civil society around the world is all prepared to see what will happen to Vladimir Putin when he visits this country. So any technical justification or intervention, irrespective of legality and correctness, I think it's just too late in the day that it could be accepted and understood by both South Africans and the global community.
If we take Vladimir Putin out of the picture, of course, that's the big elephant in the room, or something that we're all thinking about. But this BRICS meeting seems to be important. BRICS seems to be in vogue again globally. Many countries are wanting to join. If Saudi Arabia joins, the oil money, it is believed, could really prop up the development bank. And now you have an alternative for developing nations. Is this something we should embrace? How should South Africa be viewing the possible strengthening of BRICS and us being part of that?
I think economically it should be a good thing, but socio-politically, of course, it's worrying. If you look at the nature of the countries that are intending to join, you're talking about countries such as Egypt that continues to jail journalists and suppress political dissent in that country. You're looking at countries such as Iran and Saudi Arabia, that's known to have continued violating basic human rights not long ago in a city where I'm in at the moment. They came in and killed Jamal Khashoggi, chopped him into pieces and dissolved him with acid. So that's the only concern, that the countries that are at the moment talked about to be joining BRICS are not really known for respect of human rights and other beautiful things that you and I respect, particularly the protection of journalists, etc. So whilst it's going to be important for us to, welcome these countries and indeed will benefit economically, but socio-politically, I'm not quite sure whether it's something that we should celebrate.
So it could be good economically, like you say, but something South Africa has always held dear is democracy, the right of people to choose, and like you say, human rights, given our history. So you're saying by our associations, we could undermine that legacy?
Easy. I mean, one of the statements that was made today by BRICS was welcoming the acceptance of Bashar al-Assad, Syria, by the Arab League. That in itself is a problem. Here's the man who butchered his people, and you have a BRICS meeting, and contained in the statement that they issued today was that they welcome the move by the Arab League to welcome back into the fold Bashar al-Assad and Syria. So those are the kind of things that are problematic, and it's very clear at the moment that Russia calls the shot. Russia dominates the agenda. Russia continues to violate basic human rights. Forget about the ICC in South Africa, but Russia, as we speak, today there were at least multiple bombs directed at Kyiv, meant to maim and kill innocent civilians. So this is the country that's dominating this bloc, and South Africa is part and parcel of it. Of course, I know it's a bigger discussion, but we have to be concerned that it's opening up now to additional members with really checkered past when it comes to human rights.
All right, thank you for your time. As always, Africa-Asia Dialogue Senior Research Fellow and Director Tembisa Fakude.